capabilities. Now, once let's say, you've sort of decided to make sure that, you will be able to um, make this particular list, this further will make sure that your email list is very proper. Once that is done, you can begin with the process of drafting cold mails. Now, I feel all of us have spoken at length as to how, drafting cold mails is an art in itself, right? And how you need to tailor them properly. Please make sure that whatever research this professor has already done, you have actually looked into it and you have proper suggestions for the same. For example, if this particular professor is researching on, let's say, if I give my example, my professor wanted to research on the small, medium, and large industry growth. He wanted me to compile the census data accordingly from the census data of large, medium, and small enterprises. And at the same time, he wanted me to curate a report which shows what happens from the onset of India's liberalization and compare it to, let's say, what China did in its case. Right? Now, well, I was emailing this particular professor, right? I already knew that what this professor's, let's say, proposal was. To further enhance, let's say, your research proposal, it's very important that you yourself can suggest that, sir, there are certain improvements, there are certain things which I feel I could contribute to you. Here is my skill set. I'll be more than happy to do the same. When this particular format is followed, that increases your chances of conversion by a long shot. Primarily, primarily, I would say, when let's say a research internship can be a great tool, particularly if it's from a prestigious university, right in third or fourth sem at max. Because by the time when your fourth semester starts, most of you are, let's say, corporate internships that usually starts, it's either in the fourth semester summer vacation or maybe right at the start. Thereby, if you can properly get one research internship in third semester, that would obviously be great. That was one experience of mine, which I felt, I would share. There's just one share. I believe a lot of you guys do are interested in, let's say, public policy, right? Me, Pranjal, and Devashit, we have done internships in Niti Aayog. Aditya has also done in, let's say, Invest India, right? Now, if you want to get, let's say, a strictly, we'll be coming to government internships in like 5 minutes, but please also remember that only Niti Aayog and only Invest India, not the internships. There are a lot of other think tanks which is raised in the house. You also have Center for Civil Society, you have IMPRI, etc., etc. All of them are so much more receptive to even, let's say, cold emailing rather than, let's say, Niti Aayog or Invest India for that matter. And they often are a huge untapped source. These people are actively looking primarily for brilliant students from DU. You being from North Campus automatically also adds to, let's say, your impression. All of this will make sure that you can actively get these internships, not exactly Niti Aayog specific as a whole, right? Thereby, when you let's say join these particular research institutions, that also differentiates um, Niti Aayog part. Now, while we were speaking about Niti Aayog for that matter, if you want to get Niti Aayog internships, the first and foremost usual is, let's say, you probably might have a contact which gets your internship. That is what I would say more than 50 to 70% of people, follow. Not the case. When you, let's say, apply in a specific domain, let's say, for example, I had the Northeastern states as my domain, I made sure to, let's say, email each and every person who is working that particular domain, right from the IS officers who head that domain, right to the young professionals who, let's say, sort of do and carry out the day-to-day work, because the IS officers usually act as advisors and they don't particularly, let's say, are that much involved in the day-to-day work. They mostly act as signatories for the same. So these are some small tips which I have. I believe Pranjal would be taking them forward.
राइट सबसे पहले तो भाई कैमरास ऑन कर लो ये वन स्क्रीन को बोलने में मजा भी नहीं आता प्लीज कैमरास ऑन कर लो अपने अपने सारे goes for the CT advisory and first years everybody please cameras on कर लो it's supposed to be a good session कम लोग हैं so एटलीस्ट शक्लें तो देखें जो जो बाहर है कोई बात नहीं ड्रॉप इट इन द चैट बॉक्स हाँ एग्जैक्टली, मेरे को पता था एक आने वाला है, कोई एक होगा जो बाहर होगा, सो जो जो बाहर है एक बार चैट बॉक्स में डाल दो बाहर, हो बाकी लोग कैमरा ऑन कर लो अपने। भार्गव भाई, अनुष्का।
You guys continue anyways. I have to leave, so I like sort of like spoke at the start. So yeah, आप लोग कर लो. I'll join in later if possible.
ठीक ठीक ठीक, चलो कोई नहीं, तो बाकी लोग ऑन कर लो तब
ओ हाय।
तक।
जी, मैं थोड़ा बाहर बैठी थी, मम्मी न्यूज़ देख रही थी तो आवाज़ आ रही थी, तो मैं अंदर
कोई
आ
नहीं,
गई।
लाइव अपडेट्स मिलते रहने चाहिए, देखो टेंस सिचुएशन है, लाइव अपडेट्स आर इम्पोर्टेंट, आंटी के साथ बैठ जाए, कोई दिक्कत नहीं है।
कृपा भाई ब्लैकआउट 7 बजे है, अभी नहीं है।
Sleeping. My roommate's sleeping.
ओह,
ठीक है, so I think before I start speaking, it would be better if the first years are able to like अपने chat box में डाल दो कि कौन कौन सी sectors हैं basically that you guys are interested in or that you guys are targeting, and then we can specifically divide it amongst ourselves and let you guys know if we have any specific inputs regarding those sectors or those fields. So chat box में डाल दो if there's anything that you have in mind, anything specific that you want us to talk about, anything specific that you want us to cover, that would be helpful for us as well, ताकि थोड़ा streamline हो जाए टेक। हर्षल भाई, आप गलत कॉलेज में आ गए थोड़ा सा, बट ठीक है, टेक
कोई
कवर हो जाएगा, कोई
कोई
दिक्कत नहीं
नहीं
है।
है,
हाँ,
अभी
ये है तो अपना ये बैठा हुआ है, क्वार्टर इंजीनियर बैठा हुआ हमारा, कोई बात नहीं। ठीक है, बाकी लोग भी डाल दो, थोड़ा जल्दी कर लो यार, बी अ लिटिल प्रोएक्टिव इन दिस। Startup looking fintech, Gen AI, something new, finance, marketing and consulting, marketing and finance. Anything else? It's HR. Interesting. Interesting, very interesting. और कोई?
मार्केटिंग और कंसल्टिंग या मार्केटिंग एंड कंसल्टिंग?
And consulting.
इंटरेस्टिंग।
यार एट दैट लेवल, एट दिस लेवल, ट्रू मार्केटिंग तो सिर्फ क्विक कॉमर्स ब्रांड्स ही करवा रहे हैं इंटर्न से, तो करते हैं वो भी कवर। आई सी फाइनेंस अ लॉट,
प्रेजेंट,
कैन स्टार्ट विद
क्विक
दैट।
कॉमर्स इंटर्न्स।
ठीक है, शिवम तेरे को टेक से शुरू करना है, पहले टेक एंड फिनटेक स्टार्टअप्स
अरे
वगैरह।
इंटरेस्टिंग चीज़ है, पहले यार फाइनेंस पहले करो।
ठीक है, we'll cover all of this, फिर एक बार स्टार्ट कर लेते हैं, picking up where Bhargav left off. Any policy related or any international or any research related internships, primarily you'll find what you mentioned: government institutions, Indian think tanks, global professors and PhD students. And lastly, one thing I think he did not mention were your international organizations, basically your UN organizations, be it the ADB, be it the World Bank, be it IMF, or be it any other international organization. Now, the caveat when you're applying to these international organizations is primarily that they do not hire interns from undergrad. So they very specifically require postgraduate experience or a post-graduation degree. However, one way that you can get around it is if you reach out to specific people who are working on individual projects or heading individual projects, and they can hire you as project interns in in international projects or in these UN-funded projects. And that, I believe, at, if you're a first year or even if you're starting off your second year, that's a very good experience to have on your CV, because an international brand is something that is very rare, that exists across the DU circuit or anywhere for that matter. In India, undergrads do not really have international internships or international brands ki internships, specifically these UN ones. Moving on from there, coming to say your consulting वाले internships जो भी होते हैं, अब see, consulting के लिए everybody wants to go to MBB वाले consulting organizations की McKinsey में intern करेंगे। अभी McKinsey में intern है, PPO निकालेंगे या फिर सीधा placement के बाद में consulting करने जाएंगे। Sadly, that's not how it works. Sadly, we aren't from a quote unquote target school for these companies and these institutions. So one of the primary ways it works is you either go for big fours MBB अगर हो जाता है, that is very great. And the procedure remains the same for all. You have the same mechanism, you have the same procedure for all of them. If it clicks, it clicks. So you can go for, uh, all the brands that exist in consulting. You can go for the small time boutique consulting firms as well. Reaching out to the directors, partners, etc., or senior consultants and associates, वहाँ पर it helps a little because they can put in a word to people. They can get you the referrals that you need or get you the relevant contacts that you need to talk to people. Interviews for these are completely contingent on what the other person or what the other person's requirements are. For example, one of the partners that I reached out to, उसने मेरा CV मांगा. Then I got a random call at 6:30 2 days later from one of his associates क्योंकि मेरे CV में मेरा phone number mentioned था. And that guy randomly started grilling me for half an hour कि तुम्हारे CV पे क्या क्या है and तुमने कौन कौन से case comps करे हैं and what was your experience and what were your learnings from them. And उसके बाद में papers चल रहे थे. उसके बाद में like मैं तुमको 2 दिन दे रहा हूँ. You have to read up about these things and I'll call you 2 days later. And then you have to like tell me everything that you have looked up about it. So papers चल रहे थे. Obviously उस time पे I did not read up. मैं ठीक है bluff कर दूंगा. 2 दिन बाद जब call आएगा तो I'll just open Google खोल के बैठूंगा and कुछ भी पूछेगा I'll just search quickly and let him know. So when I tried doing that, it did backfire. Though he was like, "नहीं तुम ये मत करो, तुम office आना कल. So come to the office tomorrow and I'll take an in-person interview of yours." So I was like, अच्छा ठीक है. Then I went to the office. The office was in CP. Office में बुला के उसने partner को बुलाया. He booked a conference room specifically, and he was like, हाँ ठीक है अब बताओ जो भी तुमने पढ़ा है since yesterday अभी तक का. Like ठीक है. And that's how the interview was done. And that's how that got converted. And that internship got converted. So do not hesitate in reaching out to partners. Do not hesitate in reaching out to director level people, and do not waste your time or waste your free connections on the people who are associates or who have just joined in because frankly they do not have the swing or the sway in their team to get you or get you the influence within them to get you the internships or even get you into the procedure. Other than that, um, consulting में यार हाँ, the type of work that happens in consulting internships, I think that's very important because it's important that you have a fair expectation of what the work is when you get. I think Shivam can give you an idea of what me and Shivam can give you an idea of what the big fours do. He has done KPMG, I have done EY and it was ठीक है तो मेरा प्राइमरी वर्क वाज जो भी इनके बिड्स होते हैं फॉर प्रोजेक्ट्स आई हैड टू क्रिएट द गवर्नमेंट प्रोजेक्ट्स के बिड्स बेसिकली आई हैड टू क्रिएट द methodologies for their projects, what the structure for it will be, and what are the one single page research that's required to like condense जो भी उन्होंने दिया होगा document उसको single page पे summarize करके डालना and database creation for the dashboard. Now, the database creation was the major bit, and I think everyone here who has an experience with the database creation through 180 hasn't had the best of experiences there. Yes, yes, yes. So, so as we mentioned last time, BBC database creation is a very big part of what consulting is, and even if you do get an intern at a big firm, do not expect कि तुमको बहुत अच्छा काम मिलने वाला है. You'll have to be a little proactive. You'll have to pester your manager a little कि मेरे को ये काम दे दो, मेरे को ये काम दे दो, मेरे को इसमें इंटरेस्ट है, मेरे को इसमें इंटरेस्ट है. एंड वो हाँ हाँ बोल के तुमको बच्चा समझ के साइड कर देगा. They won't ever say no explicitly, but they will not really take you very seriously unless you show exceptional work ethic and exceptional talent in the work that you've done. And I think Shivam can take up the KPMG wala bit as to what he did over.
2 मिनट और कंटिन्यू कर सकता है. मैं सारे के सारे अपने कोल्ड मेल्स खोल रहा हूँ, सारे के सारे दिखाता हूँ.
ठीक है. So I think I'll cover Shivam का KPMG wala bit what he did there. Primarily it was creating the pitch decks and the presentations for their clients and जो भी research करी है that has to be presented in a PPT format. So what you guys do for case competitions etc. So for all those people who are asking कि भैया case comp करने से कुछ फायदा होता है क्या, case comp करने से internship लगती है क्या? Internship dicey, but it helps you आगे whenever you land one or get one. And you are a bit aware of what the work is supposed to be. You are a bit aware of what is the type of work that needs to be done there. You aren't completely clueless कि अच्छा ये बंदा बोल क्या रहा है मेरे को पता ही नहीं है. I have no idea कि क्या करना है यहाँ पे. And I think that gives you edge, I won't say an edge, it just helps make your life a little easier. You don't stress over unnecessary things. You don't stress over idiotic things that might have made other people's life difficult, or people who had gone there before you, their lives difficult. So 3-4 years, it's a very small time period. Just may a lot of things change from then to now, and I think this helps a little. So keeping anything that you do, be it a course, be it any of the hard skills that you take, be it the as Bhargav mentioned कि तुमको software सीखना है. R is one of the ones that is used primarily in research. Python is one that's primarily used for finance and consulting वाली चीजें. Dashboard creating tools are very important. If you have any knowledge or any experience with Alteryx or Tableau or Power BI, all these help as well. Excel, bread and butter of any consultant or any corporate person. So these skills are very important. How you present them on your CV is very important. We'll get to the CV presentation wala bit a little later. I think I'll let Shivam take
आई
over
थिंक
now. So
उसके
we'll
लिए
do.
अलग सेशन करना पड़ेगा. That is going to
हाँ,
be a
so,
very long thing.
so I think I'll let Shivam take over, and then we can move on to a different industry and a different sector.
ठीक है, मैं इंडस्ट्री या सेक्टर वाइज नहीं चलूँगा. आई विल क्विकली कवर कि मेरे को क्यों था इंटर्नशिप्स करने का कीड़ा. हैव मोर देन 7 8 9 10, भूल गया हूँ मैं नंबर, कितनी इंटर्नशिप्स करनी है कॉलेज में ना हो. तो माय फर्स्ट अप्रोच टू कॉलेज लाइफ वाज कि भाई एक चीज़ याद रख लो, नेवर से नेवर. ठीक है, अभी इन फर्स्ट ईयर यू कांट बी वेरी पिकी एंड चूजी कि भाई फाइनेंस में ही इंटर्नशिप करनी है या इसी में करनी है. यू नेवर नो कि तुम्हें किस सेक्टर में मज़ा आ जाए काम करने में, या कौन सा सेक्टर बहुत ज़्यादा पसंद आ जाए. तो my first real tangible internship was not even in KMC. It was a content writing internship, so to speak, in my engineering days. Basically मेरी कॉलेज से एक बंदा है अर्जुन मित्तल करके, उसने एक स्टार्टअप स्टार्ट किया था. तो सस्टेनेबिलिटी बेस्ड स्टार्टअप था, तो उसके बारे में आई यूज टू रिसर्च एंड राइट ऑन कोरा. तो मतलब काफ़ी पुरानी बात हो गई है. कोरा उस टाइम पे यूज़ किया जाता था. अनपेड इंटर्नशिप थी. गॉट अ लेटर ऑफ रिकमेंडेशन एंड अ सर्टिफिकेट. सीवी पे डाला, थोड़ी सीवी बफ अप की. केम टू केएमसी आए तो पता चला कि ऐसे की सीवी बनाते ही नहीं है. सीवीज आर सपोज टू बी बॉक्सी एंड वन लाइनर्स होने चाहिए. एंड आई एम अहमदाबाद वाला फॉर्मेट देख लिया मैंने श्वेता अरोड़ा की वीडियो पे. तो देन आई फेल्ट कि यार देयर नीड्स टू बी अ लॉट मोर इन द सीवी. सो क्लब्स ज्वाइन करने पड़े. क्लब्स वगैरह ज्वाइन किए. ऊपर वाला सेक्शन थोड़ा फेल हुआ. अब एक्स्ट्रा करिकुलर्स में थोड़ा ब्लैंक था. सिर्फ स्पोर्ट्स किया था मैंने थ्रू आउट लाइफ. नो डिबेटिंग, नो सिंगिंग, नो डांस. तो आई स्टार्टेड डूइंग केस कॉम्पिटिशन से थोड़ी और बिल्डअप हुई सीवी. एंड इट गॉट टू अ पॉइंट वेयर 180 डीसी में भी एक दो प्रोजेक्ट्स कर लिए थे मैंने बाय दैट टाइम. So I was eligible to at least have a CV and apply to places. This is around my second semester, right? So during this time only, मेरी CV की कभी मेरे को ज़रूरत ही नहीं पड़ी in the second semester, क्योंकि प्रत्युष ने randomly एक opportunity float कर दी थी group पे कि a relative of mine is doing this startup thing and he needs somebody who can come to Gurgaon and work there for 2 months. मैंने बीच सेमेस्टर के इस चीज़ के लिए हाँ बोल दिया, अगेन विद द एटीट्यूड कि भाई नेवर से नेवर. आई गॉट देयर. इट वाज सपोज्ड टू बी अ वेल्थ मैनेजमेंट इंटर्नशिप, बट टर्न्ड आउट इट वाज ऑपरेशंस काइंड ऑफ फाउंडर्स ऑफिस वाला काम था पूरा का पूरा. बट इट हैड अ मिनिमम वेज पे 15,000 की. तो आई डिड दैट फॉर 2 months. उससे आई लर्न अ लॉट कि व्हेन यू आर स्टार्टिंग ऑफ, एकदम ही नया नया पैसा रेज किया होता है स्टार्टअप में. तो how do you go about things? You need to do everything with the founder साथ में बैठ के in the office. So that was really really fun. I had no idea about wealth management. I had no idea about the fact that India के high net worth individuals and ultra high net worth individuals are running and escaping from India. What that startup was doing essentially is they were targeting places abroad कि कहाँ golden visa मिल सकता है to affluent and rich people and how they can get out of India. एक्सट्रीमली न्यू इंडस्ट्री, मेरे को कुछ नहीं पता था इसके बारे में. आई डिड द इंटर्नशिप 2 मिनट में, 2 महीने में बहुत कुछ सीख लिया मैंने इसमें. राइट, दिस वाज द फर्स्ट इंटर्नशिप आई डिड. सेकंड वन वाज फलहारी, which is very close to my heart because it started off as a 180 DC project. 2 महीने तक 180 DC में एक प्रोजेक्ट चला था. And because I was hopping on to client calls, because I was working in such a client facing setup, right, I was able to make that personal rapport with the founder, Mr. Rahul himself. Because of that, after the project ended, 2-3 महीने बाद I reached out to him personally कि sir, you have seen our work, you have seen my work as well in 180. Would you like me to intern with you? Uh, Here are some possible things that I can do for you. ठीक है, मैंने उनको सेटअप दे दिया कि मैं 2-3 चीजें कर सकता हूँ. तो आई अप्रोच्ड हिम इन अ वे कि यार आई वाज लुकिंग टू एक्सप्लोर टेक ड्यूरिंग दैट टाइम. दिस इज October of 2023 and he was like कि ठीक है तू आजा टेक टीम में, you work with the developers, uh, right, just give it a shot. So I did that for almost 4 months and that's how I learned the tech part कि हाँ भाई थोड़ा थोड़ा टेक में भी घुस गए. You prove your excellence through something else and that gives you opportunity to try new things, right? So that basically gave me the gateway to get into tech despite being a BA program kid, so to speak, right? इस टाइम तक 2-3 इंटर्नशिप्स हो गई थी, 2-3 प्रोजेक्ट्स हो गए थे, सीवी वाज लुकिंग गुड इनफ, राइट? दिस इज द अर्ली स्टार्ट ऑफ माय थर्ड सेमेस्टर. तो टिल देन you guys can build up on your stuff, CV बना लो, and now you are at a point where you can actually start applying to internship जो पोर्टल्स पे होती है, गूगल फॉर्म्स पे आती है, लिंक्डइन पे दिखती है तुम लोगों को, ठीक है? तो ऐसे ही आई लेफ्ट शॉट आउट ऑफ ब्लैंक एरो एक दिन सेमेस्टर 3 में कि भाई यूनाइटेड नेशंस की इंटर्नशिप आ रखी है सस्टेनेबल फाइनेंस की. मैंने कर दिया वहाँ पे अप्लाई एंड somehow I got shortlisted for that. ठीक है, so these guys were working on sustainable finance in UNDP and in office internship थी, राइट? आई गॉट शॉर्टलिस्टेड, आई क्लियर्ड द इंटरव्यू, थोड़ा बहुत सस्टेनेबिलिटी के बारे में पढ़ के गया था मैं. What happened was कि I was eligible, not even eligible for this. उनको मेरी प्रोफाइल अच्छी लग गई, but they are like यार सिर्फ थर्ड ईयर वाले बच्चे कर सकते हैं, सेकंड ईयर वाले नहीं कर सकते. So there will be situations जब तुम eligible ही नहीं होगे, and you are like shit यार. And इस टाइम पे I had 0 brands on my CV, and मेरे को ये opportunity मिल गई, and they were like कि आप sorry, not eligible. Masters and third years allowed only. So yeah, that was a sad part इस चीज के अंदर. नेक्स्ट दिस वाज अराउंड या अक्टूबर ओनली. इसके बाद मैंने नवंबर दिसंबर बैठ के बहुत सारे कंसल्टिंग फर्म्स में अप्लाई किया एंड वन ऑफ द एरोज दैट हिट द टारगेट वाज KPMG. मैंने ऐसा ही एक मेल भेजा था. सो दिस इज टू सम रैंडम हर्ष सैनी गाय, ही मस्ट बी अ पार्टनर एट KPMG. ऐसे ही मतलब 1000 मेल भेजे होंगे मैंने टू डिफरेंट पार्टनर्स एट KPMG and somehow this got shortlisted. You won't ever get a reply by the way because KPMG के जो mails हैं they are close to बाहर की emails. Even EY and PwC I would say तुम्हें पता नहीं चलेगा कि सामने वाले ने मेल कभी खोली है कि नहीं. But you do cold mails and you know out of the 100 shots you take एक ना एक लग जाता है. मेरे को रैंडमली मैं सो रहा था एक दिन 8:30-9 बजे कॉल आता है कि आई एम लाइक हु इज स्पीकिंग एंड एक HR थी KPMG से. शी वाज लाइक आपने इंटर्नशिप के लिए अप्लाई किया था ना, हियर आर योर ऑनबोर्डिंग प्रोसीजर्स. नो इंटरव्यू नो नथिंग. पार्टनर को मेरा ईमेल इतना अच्छा लग गया एंड CV इतना अच्छा लग गया, डायरेक्टली ऑनबोर्ड कर लिया. सो देयर विल बी केसेस वेयर यू विल गेट लकी लाइक दैट एज वेल, राइट? कमिंग ऑन टू during this phase where I was applying to consulting firms, I also got an offer from Grant Thornton and EY. Similar format, you customize the email to, you customize and tweak it in a way कि उनको लगे कि हाँ भाई इसको इसके पास कुछ skills हैं. This is the reason why he wants to join our organization and how they can contribute essentially. So again, this was again an email to a partner. I never have emailed HRs or directors or managers even. सीधा partners को email करता हूँ क्योंकि it flows top to bottom, right? Very simple here. I was sadly not able to join Grant Thornton क्योंकि उस time पे clash हो रहा था KPMG के साथ. So I only did KPMG during that time. Again, एक brand आ गया CV पे, CV is getting better slowly. So this is a very fast forwarded journey by the way. It doesn't happen overnight. During this time when I was doing KPMG, I came across this guy LinkedIn पे and उसने बहुत ही vague सी एक post डाली हुई थी अपनी कि I am looking to hire 2 interns who can do some research work for me and do some writing and willing to pay good for it, please contact. बस 3-4 टूटे फूटे वर्ड्स में and I was so active on LinkedIn at that time during January of 2024 कि I caught that पोस्ट कॉट में आया ना, लाइक लुक्स इंटरेस्टिंग, क्या जा रहा है, मतलब दिस गाय लुक्स लाइक अ सीए. If the profile is good, then you can trust on it. So this guy looked really legit कि भाई हाँ ये तो CXO level बंदा लग रहा है, क्या काम करता है, looks interesting. And since he was hiring two guys, me and my flatmate, मैंने एक joint application बना के भेजी उसको. So this is what it looked like. So just a cold message on LinkedIn कि hi, good evening sir, my name is Shivan and my colleague Adhar, we are applying, we came across your internship, yeah, and he gave us a shot. He was like कि thanks for reaching out, let's connect tomorrow. उसने अपना phone number दिया, we connected, उसको बहुत अच्छा लगा, CV भी भेजा, and that's how I got that internship. And this ended up being an internship with a very big corporate giant called Publicis Sapient. So again, no idea who the guy who was hiring was. I just took my chance and that shot hit its mark. ऐसे और 100 और चीजें थी जो मैंने करी थी. I'm just showing you the ones जो succeed करी थी. Right. Coming to applications for things like founder's office, or very vague roles that you take part in. A very interesting email I think I wrote to a founder's office application was, again, as Rachit mentioned. Rachit, you mentioned you want to work at some Gen AI startup. So this startup called Altius.ai is doing great work with generative AI. They're working on creating finance-based AI for banks. So इनके साथ थोड़ी देर के लिए मैंने काम किया था, but they were hiring for a founder's office role. So you can even try to send over some quirky mails like these, right? I knew कि सब लोग लंबी लंबी चौड़ी अपनी qualifications दे रहे होंगे, तो मैंने खुद से ही कुछ बढ़िया सी ऐसे नोट बना के उसको भेज दी. This guy is ex Bain ex D Shaw, सुमन्यु करके है. You guys can talk to them as well. काफी अच्छे लोग हैं. Just write something that breaks the ice. And he liked the mail and he was like, let's up for a chat at 6:30. And I got an interview and I cleared it. हाँ जी अनुष्का बताओ.
ये president 180 sign क्यों
यार intern का referral कुछ नहीं होता, to be honest. Lowest of the pile में होते हैं interns. But definitely, if you guys ever want to work in any organization जहाँ मैंने पहले काम किया है, I can connect you to partners and managers there. So I was just taking up examples of how I approach cold mailing. It's not a very dumb and boring email. I customize it according to the person, age group of the person as well. कि थोड़ी formal language में बात करनी है. अगर आपने थोड़ा ही बंदा pretty young people, 25, 26 years के, तो उनके साथ you can be a little quirky, a little informal. CXO बंदा है भाई, उसके साथ थोड़ी formal business language use करनी पड़ती है. So that's how you combine a lot of ways, you shoot a lot of shots, and you keep your options open, right? That is the only way कि तुम धीरे धीरे अपनी credibility build up कर सकते हो. And you might also have to do internships in sectors you शायद don't want to work in, right? If you really want to get that work experience early on, DU का पूरा फायदा उठाना है, तो you must be open to experiences. हर जगह अप्लाई करो. You never know कि कहाँ तुम्हें internship मिल जाए और कहाँ तुम्हें मजा है actually में काम करने में. Nobody is saying you have to follow through. मैंने 15 internships ज्वाइन किए, मैंने 5 छोड़ी भी हैं where I've not liked कि यार अच्छा नहीं लग रहा, give some excuse, get out. That's very easy to do, right? If anybody has any questions in any part of the entire process, so would love to take them up. Any sector specific questions कि भाई Gen AI startups में काम क्या करवाते हैं, या fintech में काम क्या होता है, या फिर whatever you want to ask. क्या जहाँ तक आई हैव नोटिस्ड, इंटर्न से इतनी ज़्यादा एक्सपेक्टेशंस नहीं होती किसी भी कंपनी की. They just expect you to be fast at learning and understanding what your project is, what the business is trying to solve for, and how you can quickly learn the skill that they want you to learn and implement it. So learnability is the number one hard skill, I would say, and it's not that easy to do. Shebang, exactly, yeah. Shebang के साथ यार, it's like you have to stay very 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 up to date with trends. You need to understand what existing martech startups are doing and what are they doing correctly, right? कौन से marketing campaigns actually work, कहाँ से conversions actually में आती हैं, not the traditional shit that किसी marketing Facebook में तुमको मिल जाएंगे. So they expect you to be well read. अगर तुम बोल रहे हो तुम्हें मार्कटेक पसंद है या इंटरेस्टिंग लगता है, what goes on in that industry? Are you up to date? Are you up to date with the latest trendiest things that are happening in the industry?
More than just what staying updated, I think it's also primarily about how creative you are with your thinking. कि ठीक है, you staying up, knowing about trends and what trends they can hop on is very important, but also something that what's the breaking point for all of these startups and all of these companies is when they create a new trend of their own. So being able to create a new trend out of something that say you watched as a kid maybe 15 साल पहले, so basically marketing in general as a whole, that goes for that entire sphere, because it is not something that has a specific route to it. It's not like financial consulting कि ठीक है मैंने केस बुक्स पढ़ ली या मैंने ये हार्ड स्किल्स ली and इसके अराउंड ही चीजें बिल्ड होंगी. मार्केटिंग इज समथिंग दैट रिक्वायर्स एंड टू एंड क्रिएटिविटी. कि अगर तुम 3 साल के थे, तुमको तब का कुछ याद है that you feel is relevant abhi, and you can mold it into a way that it makes sense abhi and is relevant right now, then you should be able to present it clearly and in a fashion that is interesting to the person listening to you for the first time as well. Yes, Anushka.
Also, अगर if you're targeting a specific company का marketing, for example, so you before going into the interview understand their target audience first, because अगर तुम्हें उनकी audience समझ आ गई, तुम्हारा आधा interview sort है. कि तुम्हें basically फिर interview में उनको ये convince करना होगा कि मुझे तो समझ आ गया है, मेरे को बस 2 महीने में मैं ऐसा कैंपेन्स बना दूंगी कि आप लॉन्ग टर्म में भी यूज़ कर सकते हो, फिर शॉर्ट टर्म में भी. एंड एज शिवम सेड कि दे डोंट एक्सपेक्ट अ लॉट, बट इफ़ यू आर क्यूरियस एंड इफ़ यू वांट टू लर्न, बिकॉज एज अगेन शिवम सेड कि इंटर्न सबसे नीचे होता है, किसी को फ़र्क नहीं पड़ता, ठीक है, अगर तुम्हें कोई सिखा रहा है वो बहुत बड़ी बात होगी. But if you're able to learn, deliver, गलती करोगे, that is part of it. But if you have that curiosity कि तुम्हें कोई सिखाए, क्योंकि तुम 2 महीने के लिए आते हो, ठीक है, 2-3 महीने के लिए आते हो, कंसिडरिंग बैंडविड्थ नहीं होती लीग में, भाई 2-3 महीने के लिए कोई कोई डेडिकेटेड तुम्हें सिखाए हुए तुम चले जाओ, तो यूजुअली लोग वो इनिशिएटिव भी नहीं लेते. बट यू नीड टू प्रेजेंट योर सेल्फ सो वेल दैट कि आप मुझे सिखाओगे, बट सीखोगे तुम, बट तुम इतनी जल्दी सीख रहे हो, एंड यू नो दैट ब्रेन इज वर्किंग वेरी फास्ट, तो तुम्हें सिखाएंगे भी. So for marketing, I would say that if you are able to understand the target audience of any brand you're going in, तुम्हारा आधा वो तो वहीं सॉर्ट है कि तुम्हें ज़रूरत ही नहीं पड़ेगी और कुछ वो सीखने की, बिकॉज टूल्स वगैरह वो तुम्हें सिखा देंगे. तो दैट्स नॉट एन इशू, बट खुद की क्रिएटिविटी, प्रॉब्लम सॉल्विंग, ब्रेकिंग डाउन इज समथिंग जो तुम्हें पहले आनी चाहिए.
Kripa, I think you asked about HR. HR as a field, I don't know. Internships का होती है, क्या काम करता है. What I am familiar with is something related to that domain, that is organizational consulting. So मैंने एक research paper लिखा था with a guy doing PhD from ISB. So his entire work was on culture and value creation. So kind of lies in the human resources domain only, but it was focused around organizational behavior, organizational change, organizational development. So you can explore firms like Aon Hewitt, Hogan, Corn Ferry, Great Place to Work, and all of these firms जिन जिन तीन चार मैंने एग्जांपल्स दिए हैं, यहाँ पे you can explore कि इनके इंडिया ऑफिसेस कहाँ कहाँ पे है and how you can work with them. Even here to actually is a client of mine now, so they are also doing organizational consulting only. So do explore these firms, try to understand what they are doing for this entire space. You'll get to learn a lot कि भाई क्या चल रहा है इस फील्ड में. You can also start reading up a little bit about this on ETHR World. It's a spin-off of Economic Times specifically for this domain.
Thank you.
हाँ जी अनुष्का.
HR में मैं यहाँ बताती हूँ, HR में what you can do is that HR depends again on the organization, right? So if you're going in a big firm और वो उनका बहुत established होता है and they have a lot of structures that are already established and हर structure में different चीज़ें चल रही होती है. But if you want to, if you're really interested in HR and तुम्हें genuinely सीखना है, you can, try startups as well because वहाँ क्या होता है, the it's very new, so the structuring is still happening. So if you want to learn, if you want to experience that, it will be a experience very different from others. So that for example, if you want to go into HR, if you're interested, you can do a maybe a startup internship for 2 months, and if you actually like it, you can they will teach you tools again. They will teach you tools, but that establishing those structures, अपने आप पे introducing those structures is also something that would be really interesting. So you can try that as well.
And एक phase आता है at any point in time जहाँ पे there are a lot of talent sourcing internships or opportunities that go around on LinkedIn, especially startups की after they're done hiring for normal interns or in general along with that, there is a huge list of founders office. Usually founders office roles के अंदर भी आता है when you're sourcing talent sourcing internships or talent sourcing people चाहिए. So any relevant experience that you can show there, and as Anushka mentioned, कि big companies usually prefer people who worked in existing or established structures previously. A and secondly, also people who have done an MBA in HR. So that plus theories that you have, it's not really important, right? So you need to, as an HR, your primary purposes are of A, recruiting people, and B, of managing and handling the people that are already there. So I think the creativity wala bit that goes in is about the recruitment of people, and वहाँ पर how well you can, basically how end to end and how fair your procedure can be or how interesting it can be for people. And I think having a basic idea of what the psychology of an applicant looks like and what exactly you as an applicant would be expecting is a good way of understanding and creating and moving forward in that direction कि क्या कर सकते हैं and what can be done better. Right. I think, are there any other questions?
पूछो यार कुछ तो पूछो. अभी तो कॉन्वर्सेशन स्टार्ट भी नहीं करी तुम लोगों ने.
I have one question. Like everyone, okay, I have to talk softly. Everyone is basically okay. My dad included. Every time I go home, he goes, Kripa, you need to learn how to use AI. So like, what inputs do you guys have? Like, are there is there something we should do beforehand? Any type of course or something that will be useful?
हाँ हाँ. Prompt engineering is a थोड़ा सा methodological skill. I'm sharing क्या बोलूँ इसको, गाइड बुक so to speak that Google created for prompt engineering. फर्स्ट ईयर वाले ग्रुप पे भेज दो मिस्टर प्रेसिडेंट मिस प्रेसिडेंट.
Opportunities वाले पे भेज दो ना.
अपॉर्चुनिटीज वाले पे
और
सब
the
लोग हैं उसमें.
180 training arenas पे भी भेज सकते हैं.
ट्रेनिंग एरिया वाले पे opportunities पे भेज दो.
ठीक है.
Secondly, I think what they mean by learn AI is primarily because depends on the field that you want to get into. Like as Shiva mentioned, prompt engineering for research or prompt engineering for generic field or generalized fields is very important because it is a methodological process. You train the model first according to your needs, and then you get the desired outputs. If you're going for something very specific, something like say coding related, because AI is very integrated with coding as well nowadays. So if you want to learn something like say a VS Code, because that is one of the biggest plugins that even coders use nowadays. Ki languages could be usually converted into codes, and then you can adjust it and use it according to you. So skill having some basic knowledge of what are the syntax and what are the usages of those models and the languages that you'll be using and using to code. But primarily VS Code ka plugin as a whole is a 6 to 12 hour tutorial that you need to take on YouTube. I'll share the links for that as well. उसके अलावा specifically I recently read up about a research paper that came out that was for um, quantitative finance where basically there's an AI that creates the statistical and stochastic models that quant people actually that engineers are usually hired for those roles, and that has been automated, or at least in theory has been automated through an AI. So it's basically these integrations of AI into normal hardcore industries that I think you need to be prepared for going forward, depending on which industry you want to get into and basically वहाँ पर कैसे use हो सकता है. It's basically to make your life easier as well as improve the efficiency of the process and your own output.
यार एक सबसे बढ़िया चीज दैट यू कैन डू टू लर्न अबाउट एनी इंडस्ट्री इज इंडस्ट्री पकड़ो जो भी तुम सीखना चाह रहे हो. तो फॉर एग्जांपल रिसेंटली मैंने बहुत 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 ज़्यादा ही मतलब जेन आई में वाइब कोडिंग में डीप डाइव किया हुआ है. मैं जो चीज़ पे काम कर रहा हूँ और पूरा का पूरा कोड खुद ही लिख रहा हूँ पूरा. तो एंड being somebody who is semi-technical, AI is helping me a lot, and not and by AI I never specifically mean ChatGPT because that is just 0.1% of the shit I do. Okay, so for example, I want to learn about generative AI. I want to understand कौन से LLMs are the best for the use case that I want to implement or what I want to work on. This comes under the broad umbrella of when parents say कि भाई generative AI के बारे में सीख लो. गो टू रेडिट. जितने भी सब रेडिट हैं एआई के ऊपर या जनरेटिव एआई के ऊपर, चैट जीपीटी के ऊपर, परप्लेक्सिटी, क्लॉड, एनीथिंग दैट यू कैन फाइंड, सबको ज्वाइन कर लो. रीड अबाउट एवरीबडीज एक्सपीरियंसेस. रीड अबाउट हाउ अदर पीपल आर using it for their use cases, right? The more you read, the more well read you are in general about topics, the more experience you have of, you know, people's cumulative knowledge basically. So that is how I've been exploring new fields these days. Even if you want to learn about finance and investing, trading, just join Wall Street Indian Bets, Wall Street Bets, all of these Reddit subreddits on uh, Reddit. बहुत मजा आएगा तुमको पढ़ के. And you'll also get to learn the experiences of people who have failed very terribly at things and things you should not repeat yourself as well. So that is an advice I really wish मेरे को फर्स्ट ईयर में मिली होती. एंड रिसेंटली मैंने करना स्टार्ट किया तो आई वुड रिकमेंड कि एवरीबॉडी सब लोग करो इट ट्राई.
Right. I think now that Shiva has mentioned about the finance and investing all a bit and how Reddit helps you in doing research and getting opinions of people, I think that is something that I can relate with as well. Reddit primarily helped me because I think for almost 10, 12 months, there's a very simple question that I have been struggling with. कि पोस्ट ग्रेजुएशन के बाद में एमबीए करना चाहिए, एमएस करना चाहिए to break into finance, or specifically to get into macro investing or quant finance. And that in itself, just but that was like a very rudimentary question that I had in my mind. Going on Reddit and reading up about other people's experiences, what their career journeys have been, the career journeys that they have seen, has helped me get a broader idea of what are the possibilities that I was missing out on that I had no idea existed before I got there. So that and beyond that, as to what are the mistakes, as Shiva mentioned, what are the mistakes that people have made, what are the advices that they give to other people and they would give to other people. And in general, you can like Reddit portals are very nice. You can just put up a question of your own and like you will have people at some point in time interacting below that as well. And like you can reply to people there and have a very nice conversation with them about things. Do beware about some online bullying on Reddit, so do not go down that rabbit hole. But as long as you're on the right side of things, it should be a learning experience and a good learning experience. And speaking about finance and quant finance specifically, because I was interested in the field primarily since like the third to fourth semester ka period. Since then, I have created like, for my personal usage basically because LinkedIn, I started following creators and people working in the field, usually engineers, and what their suggested resources were or what their suggested things were, and I created like a document of sorts that has like a categorical links and resources cover that I'll need to update again. But it's like a list of skills that you'll need, the things that you can read up on LinkedIn or via other resources, books, etc., that you can use, any playlists or all of those things, and then basically project ideas. So one of the key things that helps you that you will need in finance, whether you get an internship or not. See, that's the beautiful part of wanting to pursue a career in the field. Having an internship matters, but the thing is, internship roles are very limited and are restricted to very specific key things, be it equity research, be it investment banking, or be it deal sourcing. So there's mainly 2 to 3 segments in finance जिसके लिए internships आती हैं. Usually they are for like second के बाद वाले या third years के बाद वाले और CFA level 2 candidates or MBA candidates. So, and what they require is prerequisite skills or some relevant experience in the field. So one of the best ways to bridge that gap and get over that obstacle or get over that talking point वाला consideration कि तुम्हारे पास बोलने के लिए कुछ नहीं है in a finance interview. Having something credible to talk about, I think building up your CV. Finance is more about being a self starter and what are the things that you yourself can do. So I think my CV, for all its merits and for all its internships and for all the data while experiences that I have, finance के लिए my research paper and my project are two of the biggest things that I have for talking in any interview. That has helped me har jagah, that I've spoken about har jagah, and that is something that you guys need to start off as well. So if you want to get into say a very structured wale side of finance, then having say equity research reports is very important. Having PE deals ke reports is very important. Having in general following VC deals, following recent deals that are happening, that is important. Having financial modeling के लिए LinkedIn पे जो भी creators तुमको दिख रहे होते हैं, all the people that post कि मैंने ये financial model बनाया about this company, etc. It might seem pointless, but believe me, after a year or so, you'll thank yourself कि तुमने वो करा and you took out that time to put in the effort to put it out there, to get it done and to have it on your CV. Because whenever you're applying somewhere, they look for a portfolio. Portfolio में the biggest things that you can add are A, your writing samples, because anywhere you're applying, be it a research internship or somewhere else, writing samples are very important. And if you're applying for a finance internship, your finance projects are very important. So as someone who's entering second year, someone is starting off, having these modeling वाले projects is very important. Post that, once you develop an interest कि तुमको किस specific field में जाना है, उसके बाद में you can start specifying and having creating specific projects etc. कि ठीक है मेरे को इस specific direction में जाना है. These are the things that I need to read up about. These are the things that prerequisite skills that I need, and then I can apply them and learn while making the project as well. And that would give you a because that would give you a bigger edge than any internship, I believe, because internship may you won't learn as much. It's just a brand name. Especially the bigger the brand you get to, the lesser you learn. It's more just ki brand name hai CV pe. So if you're actually more about learning the things that you want to do, and because that's the knowledge is what people question in interviews, and the knowledge is what matters in the long run as well. So instead of having to do or worrying over कि ठीक है मेरी यहाँ पे internship में लग रही, मेरा यहाँ पे कांटेक्ट नहीं है, मेरे को यहाँ से रिप्लाई नहीं आ रहा है, मेरे या फिर मैं एलिजिबल नहीं हूँ उसके लिए, do not worry about those things. You have time on your hand. If you have time on your hand and if you use it properly, you won't really be behind anybody who has done those internships. You might just compete with them and you would be better than them in the long run. Additionally, what these projects and these research papers help you with is foreign applications as well, and college applications as a whole. Because at any point in time, you aren't just focusing on a single thing when you're in your first year. Because as Shema mentioned, never say never. You have no idea what you want to do 2 years down the line, 5 years down the line, and you do not have any idea as to what you have done in the past would help you or be detrimental to you. So be careful about the things that you put your time into. And like if you want any help regarding or any suggestions regarding what are the projects that you guys can do or what are the resources that you guys can access. Where can you get this model projects and yeah, Krishik, these projects you will have to make them yourselves. So if you want to make a financial modeling goes for some, for example, the most common ones are DCF models. So pick up any company, उसका एक summary वो बनाओ पहले, a single page summary. Then you'll make उनके financials के तीनों I mean, उनके balance sheet का, उनके income statements का, उनके P&Ls के analyze करोगे, तुम उनको structure करोगे. Then you'll make their projections for the next 5 years उन्हीं सबको use करके. Then you'll have your back जो तुम calculate करोगे, जिसके लिए तुम discount rates वगैरह लगाओगे, you'll have all of that. उसके बाद में you'll make the DCFs. Exactly. All of these are available in LinkedIn. So this is a very basic example of what is a financial modeling project. If you want to get into a more advanced level, you can probably create an M&A model. You pick two companies randomly. This is what I did. You can pick up two random companies. उनके बीच का synergy बनाओ from a theoretical perspective कि अच्छा ठीक है, if say Mahindra is wanting to acquire Ather, why does it make sense for Mahindra to acquire Ather, which is a private company? उसका एक सिंगल पेजर रिपोर्ट बनाओ. उसके बाद में यू एनालाइज द फाइनेंशियल्स ऑफ इट, यू क्रिएट द वैल्यूएशंस ऑफ बोथ द कंपनीज. देन यू क्रिएट एन एमएनए मॉडल. यूजुअली एमएनए में सबसे इजीएस्ट वन इज टू डू इज एन एलबीओ प्लस डेट or plus equity, whatever. They primarily do an LBO modeling of how the takeover will look like. उसके बाद में post the takeover, how that affects the valuation of the combined entity or the common entity, and how that affects the stock price. That is a very easy project. Not an easy project, but that is also another example of a project that you can make. So these are basically things that you will have to think of on your own, because तुमको स्टार्टिंग के लिए you'll find कि ठीक है लिंक्डइन पे किसी ने ये करा है, किसी ने वो करा है. But you'll have to think, once you've done that, you'll have to start stepping up on your own to create projects just जिस फील्ड में तुमको जाना है उसके लिए, relevant to what you want to do. And because finance itself is a very broad field, there are a ton of opportunities and there are a ton of subdivisions within it कि तुम कहाँ जा सकते हो और कहाँ नहीं जा सकते. Once you do that and once you figure that out, it becomes easier for you to shortlist and streamline where to put your efforts into. And that basically helps you आगे जाते हुए भी कि तुम क्या करना चाहते हो, and helps you create your CV accordingly.
One good way to make these finance projects is to take part in equity research case competitions और M&A case competitions. मैंने दो ऐसे प्रोजेक्ट बनाए हैं. दोनों केस कॉम्पिटिशन्स थे. एक बिट्स में था, एक IIM रोहतक में था. एक में मैंने किसी स्टॉक को पकड़ के इक्विटी रिसर्च कर दी थी, केम सेकंड वहाँ पे बिट्स में. तो गुड एक्सपीरियंस. मेरा इनडायरेक्टली वहाँ पे प्रोजेक्ट बन गया, पूरा एक्सेल मॉडल बन गया, पूरी डेक बन गई, गया वो सीधा मेरे पोर्टफोलियो में. उसके साथ साथ पोर्टफोलियो तो बन ही गया एंड एक सीवी पॉइंटर भी आ गया. सो दैट इज अ वे दैट यू कैन अप्रोच दिस एज वेल. मोटिवेटेड रहते हो फिर तुम. यू हैव अ डेडलाइन कि एक हफ्ते में खत्म करके प्रेजेंट करना है. सो यू
Exactly.
कांट बुलशिट इट एज वेल.
Talking about is पिलानी का वॉल स्ट्रीट ओएसिस, I believe, इक्विटी रिसर्च वाला जो था.
हाँ,
मैंने
रेमंड.
भी करा था. मैंने भी एग्रीमेंट करा था. Yes. So exactly, it helps. See, these case comps, if you want to structure कि ठीक है डेडलाइन के अंदर अंदर हो जाए, these case comps are very nice. अगर तुमको ये है कि मेरे को अच्छे से properly सीख के करना है, want my own time, you can follow these similar structures. अगर help चाहिए कोई project structure करने में, project create करने में, तो बताओ, we are here. You can reach out to any of us to help you guys with it. In general, if you guys want to work on projects, you can find people who are actually working or who already have their own projects, and then you can join them initially. उनके प्रोजेक्ट के थ्रू तुम्हारे पास में you'll have that as your portfolio, and then you can start building up उसके आगे भी कि तुमको क्या करना है. It helps. Other than that, are there any other questions regarding this or anything else?
I think Rachel was interested in Gen AI, right?
हाँ,
So
शिवम ने आई
it's
थिंक कवर कर दिया जनरल.
नहीं नहीं, बस एक चीज़ बोलनी थी दैट एक्सेंचर का केस फॉर्म आता है and Accenture is very religiously working in the Gen AI. So you can apply this summer to that as well. And generally बहुत मुश्किल होता है वो. I tried last year. We मतलब क्वालिफाई थी, हम टीम हो गई एंड उसके बाद वाले राउंड्स में हम नहीं हो पाए थे. But if you want to try, because this summer you will be relatively free, considering second year में आके time नहीं होगा इतना, तो you can try that as well. Most probably उनको वो जन AI पे ही देंगे because उनका भी तो चल रहा है.
Plus, I think एक हर्षल का question था how to land internships for product management. Was that covered?
यार आई हैव डन 2 प्रोडक्ट इंटर्नशिप्स, दोनों एक मेरे को मिली थी केसकॉम जीत के जस्ट में, एंड द रोल दैट दे वर ऑफरिंग वाज बिजनेस फोकस्ड। मैंने अंदर जाके अपनी टीम स्विच कर ली थी टू प्रोडक्ट। सो केस कॉम्स मेरे लिए तो भाई केस कॉम्स हैव बीन अ बोन। ठीक है, मतलब सीवी पॉइंटर का सीवी पॉइंटर इंटर्नशिप की इंटर्नशिप बढ़िया निकल रहा था और प्राइस मनी भी आ जाता था 6-7 महीने बाद, तो एक्रूड इनकम। बट ऑन अ सीरियस नोट, व्हाट यू कैन डू इज गैदर अप योर टेक स्किल्स, गैदर जैसे things, or whatever you do in consulting, you know how you break down business cases is very similar to how you break down product cases. The things that you can use here and there are very similar. That is why you see a lot of senior product managers out there have been ex-consultants. So that is what helped me make the switch. uh, Being a tech product manager is slightly different because they require you to be a developer, understand system architecture, understand how to scale systems, but that is something that you can learn once you get in. Right, my work in my most recent product management stint had been to help develop and scale an entire app, right? A Shopify app. So that was really amazing कि मेरे को tech side पे पूरा काम करने मिल गया. How to land these opportunities? Mature yourself slowly, and product management is a slightly niche and tough field to get into as a fresher right away. तुम्हें 2-3 साल at least कुछ ना कुछ करा होना चाहिए. You have done some consulting, you have done some projects, you know that you like this field, you know a little bit of coding. तुम सामने HTML जैसे जावास्क्रिप्ट की तुम्हारे सामने अगर फाइल्स खोले तुम्हारी फट नहीं जाती. Those are some prerequisites to have. And mostly it's about being very very active on LinkedIn and applying to every single opportunity that you get. क्योंकि तुम 100 जगह अप्लाई करोगे तुम्हें 2-3 जगह मिल जाएगी. अब चांस तो मिल जाएगा टू प्रूव योरसेल्फ. सो या, दैट्स अबाउट इट. हाँ, hackathons definitely 100% भाई. Hackathons तो यार hardcore case that you can show. Hackathons act as the mirror of case competitions for product management. So yeah, I have tried for GSOC but I gave up. बहुत ज़्यादा development road था वो. Not that enjoyable for me. I have a couple of friends who have cracked GSOC that, and they are hardcore developers. Full time coding करते हैं सिर्फ. अगर तेरे को करना है तो आई कैन इंट्रोड्यूस यू.
सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट मेथड तो बता दो इंटर्नशिप. पापा के कहने.
नहीं यार, नहीं, दे डोंट वर्क. कभी 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 क्या, मेरे तो कभी नहीं किया.
वो तो पापा सही इंडस्ट्री में मेरे भी काम नहीं किया ऑलरेडी.
उल्टा डर और लगता है कि भाई फीडबैक गलत मिल गया तो घर पे और पिटने मिलेगा. रचित, आई एम सेंडिंग यू वीडियो, वो देख ले जीसॉफ्ट के ऊपर. मतलब मैंने भी वहीं से सीखा था सब कुछ, तो यू विल लर्न वहाँ से.
I think if there aren't any other questions about internships, शिवम को एक बार CV बिल्डिंग पे थोड़ा बहुत बोल दे, and I think we can end it फिर वहाँ पर.
यार सीवी बिल्डिंग पे लेट्स डू एन एंटायर सेशन ना, स्क्रैच से.
सेशन आई डोंट थिंक हो पाएगा वैसे, क्योंकि अभी एग्जाम्स हमारे हैं, फिर इनके एग्जाम्स हैं जून से. Like May and
मतलब
June पूरा clogged है.
summers up they'll be reaching out, so if you guys could briefly cover it कि क्या क्या होना चाहिए, क्या क्या गलतियाँ लोग करते हैं, if they could avoid. मतलब हाँ, I get कि CV के लिए full fledged वो चाहिए, but if we could briefly cover it.
यार तुम लोग बताओ थोड़ा, सेकेंड ईयर वाले, मेरे को देखना है हमने तुम्हें क्या सिखाया अभी तक. This session has now been transferred to the new core team. तुम लोग थोड़ा थोड़ा बताओ and we'll help you guys out अगर हमको लगा help की जरूरत.
बोलो प्रेसिडेंट.
Okay, so there was a session, I think it was taken by Pratyush. So, first of all, majorly grammatical mistakes. Yes.
कुछ प्रेजेंट करके दिखा दे, some CV या कुछ,
अपना CV
so
दिखा दो
that
अभी.
people
I think it's time.
have
I
an
think
idea.
it's time.
Okay, wait. I have this folder.
Blur out करके चलेगा.
I think this is my school ka CV. So, but it has been transformed up to this.
Subtle flex. Subtle flex.
Damn.
Not a subtle flex, but of course, this is a journey. Oh, it's not an overnight transition.
अरे
Like,
सेम GPA 8.09 मेरी भी. Cheers.
नहीं वो updated नहीं है, थोड़ी और कम हो गई होगी अभी तक तो.
Me when I lie on my CV.
Yes. So again, it's not an overnight thing. Plus, adding on to a little what Shivam was saying, कि internships जो output होता है कि इतनी इतनी internships करी है, that shows. But the work that goes into it, कि 1,000 लोगों को पहले reach out करा, that might not have been that clear. Plus, अगर अब just okay, this is something a little I want to add पहले before the CV part. कि even if अभी first year में if you guys have not done an internship, कुछ लोगों को लगता है, honestly मैंने भी नहीं करी थी, so it really used to ऐसे hit कि others have done it, they might be ahead of me, but no, that is not the case. If you're starting now, that's also great, you're starting somewhere, so it's never too late. बाकी now coming to the CV part of it. First of all, never have grammatical errors because that presents you very badly. अगर तुम्हारे CV में grammatical errors हैं, then what I have majorly learned is presenting it in a table format gives it a very clean and a very nice look. Then, honestly, sometimes having a CV according to the position and the role you're applying to is also very important. For example, okay, if you're doing a consulting internship, if you're applying for one, so all the live projects ऊपर is very important. If you're trying to apply for a marketing role, so having roles relevant to that and the work that you've done relevant to that is important. If coming to research, like Pranjal mentioned, having projects, building your own projects, and like Bhargav mentioned, so highlighting your projects on top is important in that sense. Then very precise and short lines description. You should not have white space in your CV. You should hold whatever important points there are. Try to quantify the work that you've done. So, for example, when I worked as a marketing intern, so I've quantified it in the fact that this is the percentage of growth and the amount of interaction that increased when I was working there. Um, then in the okay, wait, I'll share my screen again. Oh yes, okay. These are the work experiences that I've highlighted, the projects that I've undertaken, the positions of responsibility, and in the end, mentioning the extracurriculars, all the case competitions that you've done, the projects, your skills. Never mention any skills that you might not really know about, the things that you can't justify in your interview if you're asked about. So these are some things that I wanted to see Anushka, Raghav, Ravi, anything.
think one very important thing is कि never compare your own CV to someone else because you're two different people. Know what you like Vidisha said कि role के हिसाब से होता है एक तो वो चीज़ है and what you want to depict yourself because CV is basically achievements but achievements in areas of your interest with academics, right? So if I am sending an email and a CV, so अगर मैं अपना CV भेज रही हूँ it should portray कि अनुष्का विशिष्ट ठीक है KMC में है इतनी इतनी परसेंटेज थी ठीक है उसके बाद जो एक्स्ट्रा करिकुलर वर्क एक्सपीरियंस है it should portray that journey that you have done and obviously hard तुम अपने skills सब mention करते हो but also things like extracurriculars are also important. So for example in my CV my right like I have only one internship, okay, but मेरी strength was my extracurriculars are very diversified, right? So मैं कभी भी introduce करती हूँ या कुछ भी करती हूँ it's like I used to do dance, I used to sport, I used to do that. So it's a very small part वैसे, but like for me for showing depicting to show myself मैंने वहाँ पे भी लिखा है तो वो स्ट्रक्चर में सिर्फ खुद को फिट मत करो वो स्ट्रक्चर अपने हिसाब से बनाओ वो तुम्हारा सीवी भी है तो जो हम स्ट्रक्चर देते हैं इट इज जेनेरिक एंड विद टाइम मेरे पास भी 2 महीने पहले इंटर्नशिप और वर्क एक्सपीरियंस खाली था तो ऐसी कोई दिक्कत नहीं थी बट in these 3 years try to do things in those different buckets but don't do it for the sake of CV build करना है कुछ जाना चाहिए because at the end of the day it's who you are and तुमने क्या सीखा and वो तुम्हें कहाँ help करेगा तो uh, if you're doing anything if you're interested in any project just financial modeling है don't do it for the sake of it if you're interested do it don't do it because मेरा दोस्त कर रहा है यार उसने 5 इंटर्नशिप कर ली कोई नहीं तुम एक करो तुम्हें जो अच्छी लगती है जहाँ लगती है करो ट्राई करो किसी ने मना नहीं किया ट्राइंग शुड नेवर बी वो थिंग कि भाई ट्राई नहीं करेंगे ट्राई करो क्योंकि ट्राई करोगे तब पता चलेगा लगती भी नहीं है तो रियलिटी हिट होगी कि when you try it's not necessarily you get it but if you don't try you'll not get it but also don't make it a constant key for the sake of CV we do things how you shape your journey in these 3 years what you learn because it because हमारे जैसे बहुत सीवीज आते हैं यार मतलब सबके सीवीज बहुत सीवीज आते हैं कंपनीज में वी आर नॉट द ओनली selected few but it should portray your तुम्हें portray करना चाहिए like it should speak about you through that तो it sets the tone उसमें काफी ज्यादा बाकी मेरे को शेयर करनी है क्या स्क्रीन आई थिंक वो विदिशा के उससे आई थिंक कवर हो गया दैट वो तो मतलब आई थिंक वी हैव कवर्ड इट बिफोर रिक्रूटमेंट इज वेल बट इफ यू एवर नीड अ फॉर्मेट कर वो अरे मैं बताती हूँ क्लासिक एग्जांपल ऑफ सीवी को कैसे मोल्ड करना है रोल के हिसाब से तो मेरे को बीसीजी में अप्लाई करना था किसी चीज़ नहीं बेन की किसी चीज़ के लिए अप्लाई करना था वो मैंने किया नहीं था एंड में बट मैंने फिर अपडेट किया तो मैंने उसमें 180 में हेड कंसल्टेंट लिखा था ताकि थोड़ा portray हो कि वहाँ पे काम किया है I think this is the updated one. Again tabular format GPA मत देखो भाई please so like see मतलब work experience अब जाके बढ़ा है and I think one thing about 180 was that you get to do live projects and you can write it in your internship and experience and from the very start I think this is the one thing that we have even marketed during recruitment so वो तुम्हें फायदा दिखेगा as you work in projects and these are PORs are one thing and this is extracurricular डांस है सोशल इम्पैक्ट है तो मतलब इंटरेस्ट हॉबीज मतलब ठीक है मतलब ये जेनरिक हुआ है बट इट शुड शो व्हाट यू आर बिकॉज मोटा मोटा ठीक है इंटर्नशिप्स करते हैं लोग पीआर होते हैं बट क्या किया है ऑल्सो मैटर्स अ लॉट सो डोंट रिस्ट्रिक्ट योर सेल्फ कि यू नीड टू डू इट फॉर द सेक ऑफ इट do it because you want it to add some value.
Exactly. Don't get into the rat race just because someone else has XYZ amount of internships. So, you're also gonna want, let's say, having 4 5 internships. But okay, so if you're not clear about what you want to do, try to diversify it in the sense कि एक consulting की कर ली, एक marketing की कर ली, try to get one finance, ताकि you cover all domains कि बाद में when you figure out that you have experience related to that. बाकी when it I think Shivam, Pranjal, whoever want to add, but
Um, I think similar to what you guys said, पहला तो कि diversify. So if anyone asks me कि CV कैसे बनाना है इस field के लिए उस field के लिए, I always say कि I'm the worst person to ask this कि एक specific field के लिए कैसे CV बनाना है because मेरे को खुद नहीं पता था मेरे को कहाँ जाना है for the longest time. So I had पहले 180 था, I was like consulting करनी है एक साल. तो आई वाज लाइक कंसल्टिंग के पीछे पागल कंसल्टिंग के लिए प्रोजेक्ट्स जो भी प्रोजेक्ट्स हो रहे हैं उसमें हर प्रोजेक्ट में आई यूज्ड टू की मेरे को ले लो या आई वांट टू डू दिस आई वांट टू डू दैट पहली इंटर्नशिप वाज 180 के थ्रू इट वाज अ फाइनेंस इंटर्नशिप कंप्लीटली irrelevant to what I wanted to do at that point in time जब तक मेरे को ये आया कि चलिए आई वांट टू पिवट इनटू डेटा द सेकंड इंटर्नशिप इज अ कंसल्टिंग इंटर्नशिप which again did not make sense at that point in time because I wanted to get into data. The third internship that I had when I was like, "Okay, I want to get into finance," was a research internship. And again, very, very irrelevant on surface. Ki how do these three things make you eligible or even give you the experience to get there? But the thing is, no matter what experience you have or what the terminology of your role or industry or sector is, it's the work that you do that matters and how you show its relevance. That entirely relies on how you build your CV. I have used the same three internships and same three roles for a consulting CV, for a finance CV, and for a data CV. And it works. It works in the internships as well. It works in interviews as well. And people do ask you regarding the pointers that you've put in. And because if it's a good interview, they'll let you tell them about what you've done in the internship instead of actually grilling you about कि तुमने जो लिखा है उस पे गांड मारेंगे. And I think that is basically what serves as the primary platform. What advice I would give to anybody who's not sure about kya karna है. Just do anything that you feel like doing at that point in time. Hedge what the best options are because you'll have to leave a few opportunities as well. I had to leave an opportunity at ADB to do EY wala. I had to leave an opportunity with Grant Thornton to do Niti Aayog wala. There were a lot of other opportunities that I had to give up on or leave or not pursue simply because I had something else going on at that point in time. And these decisions, there's no wrong or right decision about this. And no matter what you do, it's just simply about how you present what you've done and how you, once you get in, how you go about the role that you've gotten and your responsibilities. Secondly, ATS scores are important. ATS अपने CV को periodically keep checking it against an ATS metric. Anything above a free ATS course में anything above a 70 or a 75 is good. Anything above an 85 is golden. So if a free ATS maker is giving you an 85, you've genuinely done something because that's their way of saying कि खरीद लो will make it perfect for you. But believe me, anything above 80, 85 is a very, very good CV at this level. And thirdly, so this is something that I got from my senior. So I used to get my CVs weighted by Dhruv. And that is something that I had been doing since the first year के बाद से कि पहला CV बनवाने के बाद से I used to be giving it to him कि please एक बार review करके बता दो. The first time I gave him my CV for review, I had to make changes for the next 2.5 hours. And periodically my entire goal while making my CV was कि इस बंदे को मौका नहीं देने कि मेरे को और changes बताए. And frankly, I got changes till like the fifth semester उस बंदे से till the point I finally sent my CV before the final draft that I had in March. And he was like, अच्छा है सही है. And I was like, ठीक है, I have मेरे को इतना तो आ गया कि मेरे को CV बनाने आ गए हैं. And
मैंने तो
second, क्या?
कुछ भी हो गांड ही मारता है वो सीधी.
Exactly. So if that person, if someone like that is not telling you any changes, you know you have done something, at least something right in that CV. And secondly, one of the metrics that I followed or he followed was a point 0.5, a point 0.75, a 1.5, a 1.75, and a 2. So when the first CV that I sent him, it was a 0.5 से 0.75 के बीच में. This was जब कॉलेज से में सिर्फ आने वाली होती है उससे जस्ट पहले. Then progressively, once you keep getting internships, the entire reason and the logic of creating a CV, it's about what is your end result or what is your end goal for it. अगर तुमको जॉब चाहिए, it's a very different procedure. अगर तुमको IIMs जाना, it's a very different procedure. If you want to apply abroad, it's a very different procedure. If you want to do an master's from India, it's a very different procedure. So you have to, and because I was not sure कि मेरे को क्या 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 करना है, it became more difficult or more important for me that my CV covers all four aspects. So that is primarily where you also have to decide, and you also have to get an idea of what exactly is it that your ultimate goal of doing internships, doing extracurriculars, the course that you're pursuing, the projects that you want to do, the courses that you do, all of it, it all comes down to what is your ultimate goal. So finding that ultimate goal makes it easier to and streamlines your efforts in a lot of ways. It does prevent you from having to explore multiple opportunities to get where you want to. And I think anytime you make a CV, you'll definitely make mistakes. So I think it's best. There's two ways to get your CVs perfect. A, ATS scores, whatever they suggest. B, give it to your seniors and let them hammer you for it. कि ये क्या डाला है, वो क्या डाला है, ऐसे नहीं डालते, वैसे नहीं डालते. That is the only way that the trials and errors are the best way to perfect your CV. And there is no set structure or format for it. For the longest time, I followed the tables on a format till I would say October last year. November last year, I realized कि tables तो सबके पास है. Tables is not really the best way for me personally that I get to maximize or show what I want to show, which is when I switched the format that I was using and made it like non-tabular, very single line से divide करके 2 pointers each, and it had like multiple. I had more room for more things that I wanted to put in, and then making the CV relevant to the industry that you want to get into. That also is very important, as they mentioned. Having multiple CV drafts is important. It is a lifesaver when you're applying or when someone asks कि अपना CV भेज दो, and you're like, oh, मेरे को CV में ये change करना है, वो change करना है. So it having multiple drafts at ready is helpful. Lastly, please make a cover letter. Do not underestimate the importance of having a cover letter and a nice cover letter. सीवी अपना जीपीटी पे डाल के मत बोलना कि इसका कवर लेटर बना दो. Draft it yourself. You will have to draft it yourself. And when you do that, it CV हर कोई भेजेगा, cover letter हर कोई नहीं भेजता. Sending your cover letter with your resume gives a different, even if marginal, it gives a very different benefit. And having a cover letter, again, when in whichever portal you apply to, whichever official channel you use, having a cover letter helps, and हर जगह requirement होती है उसकी. So that I think that would be from my end. Oh, single line pointers, no full stops at the end of any pointer in your CV. Color जितने neutral रख सकते हो, try to keep the colors as neutral as possible. And make it a breathy CV. Do not try to put everything on there because everything is not relevant. Everything you've done is not relevant. It won't be relevant. तुमने ठीक है एक्स्ट्रा करिकुलर्स भी इट हैज टू बी वेरी यू हैव टू बी वेरी निटपिकी अबाउट द थिंग्स दैट यू पुट इन. स्कूल के 4 साल के एक्स्ट्रा करिकुलर्स को जब 2 लाइन में करना पड़ता है, यू जेन्युइनली डू क्वेश्चन कि उन 4 साल में मैंने क्या करा था. बट फ्रैंकली those two pointers in itself are very important, and they, if they're good and if they're relevant and if they are value, if they're worth adding value to your CV, they'll definitely make a difference going forward as well.
Question, Pranjal, is it okay to put how much you left on your CV? Because मेरी CV पे है ये काफी टाइम से.
Depends if you
So
want to get into
let
muscle
your
maze का prod man.
नहीं नहीं नहीं, let your CV talk about you as well. अपनी हॉबीज के
एग्जैक्टली
बारे में
हाँ.
थोड़ा.
मैंने अपनी हॉबीज
Okay.
उसमें शायरी डाल रखा है, मेरी सीवी पे शायरी है, एंड आई एम ऑलवेज प्रिपेयर्ड विद एटलीस्ट एक पोएम दैट आई हैव रिटन. अगर मेरे से इंटरव्यू
Okay.
में कोई भी पूछे कि ये तुमने लिखा हुआ है बताओ, मैं लिख ठीक है, दिस इज माय टाइम टू शाइन. सो व्हाटएवर यू पुट इन, ऑलवेज बी प्रिपेयर्ड विद इट वहां पर.
मेरा तो ऐसा बीच में फेज आया था, आई वाज बीटा टेस्टिंग माय सीवीज. मैंने 2 सीवी बनाई थी. एक का एक सेक्शन टैबुलेटेड था और एक का लाइन वाले फॉर्मेट में था, तो मैं टेस्ट करता था कि कौन सी रिजेक्ट हो रही है कौन सी नहीं। तो एक्सपेरिमेंट भाई कॉलेज में हो, यू हैव इनफाइनाइट पॉसिबिलिटीज एंड ऑप्शंस, जस्ट नीड टू गेट आउट देयर एंड डू इट। तो या अगर किसी को कुछ फॉर्मेट वगैरह के लिए चाहिए, आई हैव अ लॉट ऑफ अंडर द वर्क सीरीज पॉइंटर्स कैसे होने चाहिए उसके बारे में इन्फो चाहिए, तो
सेम
यू कैन
फॉर्मेट्स
शेयर।
अगर चाहिए हो तो आई हैव रफ फॉर्मेट्स जो मैंने अपने टाइम पे यूज करे थे एंड आई हैव गिवन टू अदर पीपल एज वेल सेकंड ईयर्स में। अगर तुमको चाहिए हो तो रीच आउट इफ यू वांट एनी रिसोर्सेज फॉर सीखने के लिए या प्रोजेक्ट्स बनाने के लिए या एनी ऑफ दोस थिंग्स, तो भी बताना। यू कैन रीच आउट टू मी इफ यू वांट टू actively be a part of an ongoing project to Batana. I do have a project at hand for which I do need people's help. So if anyone is interested, please hit me up. If you want me to help you or anyone else to help you structuring or creating your own project from scratch, let us know. We'll help you with that as well. CVs vet करने हो, CV pointers create करने हो, internship applications vet करने हो, cold messages, cold mails vet करने हो, any of that. You will need a lot of things. You will have to do a lot of things. We are here throughout it, and at any point in time, your second years are there. They're very capable to do all of this. Once we leave, we are here. Even after we leave, we'll be here to help you with it. So, just whatever you're trying to experiment with, don't feel that you're alone because when we were in your shoes, we have done the same experiments and we have gotten very different results. So you'll get every sort of experience here. Reach out and I guess yeah, will be there to help.
Are there any doubts regarding anything, buddy? Seeing none, like Pranjal said, feel free to reach out to anybody, any one of us from second year, just from the advisory, if you need help in anything. So feel free to text us. Baki, I guess we can wrap it up if anybody has anything to add.
If you guys feel that something that you guys wanted to be spoken about was not covered in the session, then again, reach out independently, or maybe if it's a very big pool of people, the session can be taken separately बाद में whenever we have time or you guys have time when it aligns. So that is always there because there is a lot. This is a topic that requires a lot of details and a lot of things. It's not possible to cover everything. But if you guys do feel that something very important that you guys wanted to be covered was missed out, then do feel free to reach out or bring these guys up कि please इस पे कुछ कर लो.